Hi everyone, and welcome to the fourth case in Ireland's Vanishing Triangle. So if you missed my other 3 videos on Ireland's Vanishing Triangle, you can check them out. It'll be in the eye up in the corner up here, or go to my channel, Amberstone, and it'll be in the playlist Ireland's Vanishing Triangle, or just Vanishing Triangle. But you'll be able to find them there, and that'll get you up to date with the details on what I'm on about. So in this case, we are going to be talking about Ciara Breen. So Ciara was born in Ireland on the 31st of March in 1979. Her parents broke up before she was born. Her father moved to America and her mother's name was called Bernadette. And she moved in with her parents to help raise Ciara up until 1996, when they then moved onto a street called Bachelor's Walk in Dundalk. This was only around the corner from her parents' house, which was on St. Mary's Road, so they weren't too far away from where Ciara was brought up. So when Ciara was just 16 years of age, she rebelled a little and she actually went missing. She ran away from home for a few days with a friend of hers, and her mother was really worried because Ciara was not known to be streetwise whatsoever. But then when Ciara finally did come back home, her mother was delighted, obviously, and Ciara wasn't looking the best. She looked really shook and she had cold sores. She was just really unwell when she came back. So her mom was really worried, but knew that Ciara probably wouldn't do it again. It didn't seem like it was such a positive experience for her. And when Bernadette and Ciara moved to Bachelor's Walk in March of 1996, Ciara really did settle down and became a lot closer with her mother. Ciara was known to be a really sweet child. She was known to be really polite. She just unfortunately fell into the wrong crowd of friends, which does happen and did happen quite a lot in Dundalk in that time. Okay, so now moving on to the last time Ciara was seen. It was on the 13th of February in 1997, so a little under a year from when they just moved to Bachelor's Walk. And Ciara and her mum were out for dinner in a local cafe, came home, were watching a bit of TV and having a bit of a chat. Ciara's mother, Bernadette, had a hospital appointment the next day in Blackrock Clinic in Dublin because she had recently had tests done to check for cancer cells, and she was going to get the results on the 14th of February, on Valentine's Day in 1997. So Bernadette and Ciara were up that evening till quite late, till about midnight, talking about it, and Ciara actually asked her mother if she was worried about the results, and Bernadette said that she wasn't too worried about it. So Ciara said that if her mother wasn't worried, then she wasn't worried and that everything would be okay. Then they both went to bed, said goodnight, said I love you, and that would be the last time that Bernadette would see her daughter. So Bernadette got up in the middle of the night around 2 a.m. to go to the bathroom, and on her way she decided to check in on Ciara. So she went into Ciara's room and noticed that the window was left off of the latch and Ciara was nowhere to be seen. Ciara had actually snuck out of her window a few times, and so Bernadette just thought it was one of these times and she decided to stay up to wait until Ciara got home. But she never did. So the following morning, Bernadette ended up going to the Blackrock Clinic with her father. Her father drove her up there for her appointment. And the whole time, Bernadette didn't say anything to her dad because she just thought that Ciara would probably be home by the time she gets back from her appointment. During this appointment then, Bernadette's doctor actually told her that she has cancer, and Bernadette actually didn't really react. She was just too worried about her daughter Ciara at the time. Her doctor actually commented on this a couple of months afterwards when he realised what had happened and said he was surprised at how calm she was. But all the time Bernadette was just worried about her daughter. So on the way home, she told her father that Ciara had snuck out last night and that she hadn't come home, but hopefully she would be home by the time they got back. And when they pulled up to the house, there was still no sign of Ciara. So Bernadette and her family decided to report her missing to the local Gardaí. Gardaí then done a public appeal, and through their investigation, It indicated that Ciara was in a relationship, a secret relationship, with a much older man. Ciara was apparently in this relationship for a couple of months, and this man was in his 30s, so there was quite a large age gap of 13 years between the two of them. I'm not saying that that's wrong, I'm just saying that, especially back then, it was quite a large age gap for a 17-year-old girl to be dating a man in his 30s. And Bernadette actually knew this man. He had turned up at their house before and was talking to Ciara, asking her strange questions like if she was in a relationship, if she was seeing anyone, how old she was. And Bernadette actually ended up chasing him away from the door, telling him to stay away from her daughter. But it would take a few years for the Gardaí to actually have enough evidence to arrest this man. And surprisingly, even in the interviews, he denied knowing Ciara at the start, which really annoyed Bernadette. So as I said, it'd been a few years. So in 1999, witnesses came forward to say that they had seen the suspect with Ciara in secret locations around Dundalk. And Bernadette's two neighbours had actually come forward and said that they had seen Ciara kissing a man in the laneway behind their house. But that was 6 months before Ciara went missing. So Ciara and her friends would often hang out at a local chip shop every evening, and her friends had actually said that they saw the suspect approaching Ciara and asked her to meet up with him later on that evening. They said that it wouldn't be the first time that she had snuck out to meet up with him. And in September of 1999, a team of experienced detectives from the National Bureau of Criminal Investigation interviewed the suspect 5 times. And when a witness statement was read to the suspect, stating that her friends had said that she told them that she was going to meet up with this man later on that night. And his response was, "I'm not answering that. I'll take my chances from here." Later on that day, he was released without charge. So this man's name was Liam Mullen, who was 31 years old at the time in 1997, and he was a carer for one of his older relatives. So he was on carer's allowance. Liam was known to have relationships with women much younger than him, some of them even teenagers. One of his former partners had said that he had kicked her, and another former partner had said that he had twisted her arm. Liam also had a reputation for stalking or following his exes when they would break off the relationship. He had a tendency to be quite possessive and also emotionally abusive. In the year 2000, so 3 years after Ciara went missing, Bernadette's mother finally moved out of the house. She just moved back in with her parents on St. Mary's Road, so she wasn't too far away if Ciara had ever turned up. But she just couldn't even walk into Ciara's room anymore. She just couldn't handle it. So she thought it would be best to move out of the house. So much like the other cases, not too much more evidence came forward over the next couple of years. 7 years after Ciara's disappearance, there was a fresh investigation into her case. The full file was re-examined, and a newly appointed senior investigating detective inspector, Pat Marry, made a number of appeals on a TV programme called Crime Call, which was on RTE, which is an Irish television channel. These appeals would lead to significant information. This in turn led to the rearrest of the chief suspect, the main suspect in the case, which was Liam, and also it led to a search of a local bogland in the area. An anonymous caller said that they would find Ciara's body in the bog at the old railway track behind a brewery. So Gardaí had received a number of phone calls like this over the years, but it was actually the second call from the same anonymous caller with more in-depth information that would lead them to search the boglands. The same caller was able to identify the man by name and said that they would find the girl's body in a bog by McArdle Moore's brewery, and said that the suspect Liam had told them this, and that they had actually seen the suspect with Ciara around 1:20 a.m. on the night that she went missing in 1997. Another witness came forward and said that they had actually spoken to Liam while he was drunk, and he had turned around to them and said, "I'll bury you in the bog where I buried the other one." So in 2015, Gardaí had re-arrested Liam, but once again, Liam refused to talk and was released without charge. So then on the 18th of August in 2015, an extensive search was done through 4 acres of the 16-acre bogland. This bog was known as Bulmer's Bog on the RD Road in Dundalk. Unfortunately, the guards did not have the budget to search all 16 acres, and so stuck to the 4 acres where they think that she would more than likely be buried. So Gardaí, along with the military, searched the area. Unfortunately, the area had been filled with building rubble and rocks, which made it extremely difficult for the Gardaí and the military to search. Hundreds of tons of hard fills were dumped on the land years after Ciara went missing. A forensic archaeologist advised the guards that the dumping had caused incalculable damage to the investigation for the search of Ciara's body. Interestingly though, the suspect had been seen walking up and down the site during the investigation, which they found odd considering why would he want to be there? Was he worried that they would find something? But unfortunately, on the 9th of September in 2015, so a little under a month after the search began, Gardaí had to call off the search and had no new leads. Gardaí had handed in the file to the DPP, but the DPP declined to prosecute due to lack of evidence. Allegedly, Liam had often confessed to murdering Ciara while he was drunk, but then he retracted those statements when he sobered up. There were many witnesses that came forward to say that Liam had confessed certain things to them, and the Gardaí could not do anything else with this information. They just didn't have any concrete evidence. They had loads of witnesses coming in and telling them information which they could do nothing about. And sadly, in 2017, Liam was arrested on a drink driving offence, and while he was in police custody or Gardaí custody, he overdosed on drugs, allegedly, in his cell. So Gardaí will never get a confession out of Liam. And that is just some of the information that we have on the case of Ciara Breen. I'm sure you can agree that the evidence is quite compelling against Liam, but we will probably never know at this stage, seeing as there is no body and the prime suspect has passed away. Let me know what you think about this case. Bernadette, which is Ciara's mother, does not think that this case has anything to do with the other cases in Ireland's Vanishing Triangle. It was just a case of happening in the same year and same location as other women went missing. Let me know what you think. I really appreciate any feedback that you have on these cases. I find them really interesting, and if anything new pops up, I will make sure to update you all in future videos. So if you are interested in that, then please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video, which will be up next Friday on the next Ireland's Vanishing Triangle case. Bye!